Massachusetts. Welcome to the Spare Notes series with your hosts, Matt Tabacco and William Cooper.
All right, so no one's here yet because we lost our feed. I don't know why. I don't know what happened, but um,
You having Wi-Fi
Ooh.
issues?
I just got booted again.
no, you didn't. I'm changing the
Oh, okay.
scenes. I have to fix all the scenes now. It fucking sucks. Well, we're live, but I don't know. Are we in the same feed?
Shouldn't be.
No, that's the old one. I have to, and now it's. Hold on one second. And yeah, and for some reason now it's weird because I edited the titles and like now it's saying like on font of Drew Estate joins us and I'm like nope, on was on Wednesday. That's not accurate. So on is not with us for those who are watching. And I'm getting really frustrated because Facebook is a toilet and has made editing multiple pages that you own difficult on the fly and I have to like sign out of everything on every
Yep.
app to go and fix the titles while we're on the air, while people are waiting. And now, this is just not how shows are supposed to go. And I apologize to everyone who's watching, listening. The whole show's been ruined now. So,
Nah, we'll be fine.
I hate incompetence when it comes to technology.
I mean, I'm here, so this show definitely can't be ruined.
That's
Right,
true.
right. And
That's
the
true.
Phillies won tonight, so again,
Yeah, I know. I know. I just hate
yeah,
these issues.
And there was F1 on TV today and NASCAR on TV today.
yeah, yeah.
Well, if you guys don't mind, if you could get this show going on your own while I do a couple of things in the background, because now everything I did before the show, so I wouldn't have to do it on the air, has to all be redone. So, if you guys wouldn't mind keeping this thing going for a few minutes, I would greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are
So
live,
how
right?
about we take the opportunity to roast Matt?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
He's like, yeah, fuck you guys.
Oh,
You guys can do whatever you want. I gotta operate here in the background for a second.
So take the opportunity. Hey, can I just make a quick thank you as long as to someone, Kevin, and then we can kind of get into it.
Absolutely.
So I'm gonna light up tonight this Alec Bradley Coil Lancero. And this is from our friend and listener Luigi. And I think people know Luigi and I. We got into it on a couple of things. And but in the spirit of friendship, he sent me these Coil Lanceros. Now you may say, oh, he's sending Coop Lanceros. This is a really good Lancero. I think I've talked about this before. The Coil Lancero. This is the size I would go to in this blend. So
100%.
yeah. I think I've mentioned it on this show as well. So this is a very generous thing. You didn't have to do that. Thank you so much for your kindness on that. And I'm gonna enjoy it tonight in your honor. Here.
Luigi, I mean, super stand up, buddy. You know, that is,
He
I
sent me a
mean,
5-pack. He sent me a five
that
pack
is
of these. Again, yeah, this is
that
very
is how
nice.
you adult with disagreements for people that are paying
Well,
attention.
and it really, yeah, and it's yeah, I agree. And in the last show, actually, I pointed out a mistake I made, and he pointed out the mistake, and I did apologize to him, and he even said, "You don't have to apologize to me." I said, "No, I was wrong in this case." So, you're absolutely owed an apology. And then on top of that, he sends me some cigars. That's really nice of him. So
Oh, that's
I thank him a lot.
100% stand up. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's wow for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Way to go,
Yep.
Luigi.
Yep. And I think I mentioned Kevin. It was I know you know Matt Booth really well. It was Matt Booth who turned me on to this Lancero. He's like, you got to smoke this coil in the Lancero, and he was doing an event with Room 101, and he had bought some, and he handed me one of these. And he says, I said, you want me to smoke it? He goes, yeah, I want you to smoke it now, even though it was a Room 101 event, and it was he was really right about it.
You know, I want to say he was the guy that gave me my first one too. Yeah, I think Barb and I were hanging
He
out
was
with him, and you guys. He's like, grab a couple of these before they're gone, guys. He had a box under the table.
Yeah, yeah. Matt has always smoked like other brands, I mean, I remember if you go way back, he was into La Polina. He was into La Polina when La Polina first launched. And I know we connected over that in the early days because a lot of people didn't hear La Polina, and they were doing some. This is when La Polina launched. They were doing the stuff they were doing early on was really good. So Matt was on board with that, and I was like, yeah, I love that stuff too. So as again, but Matt's always smoked plenty of people's cigars over the years.
Oh, I know. I think one of his favorites is Padron 1926. I just can't think of the size.
I can't think of it either, but I know he likes that one.
It's the little guy. You know, that's like one of his go-tos.
Yeah.
If you go to a lounge with him, that's what he's going for.
Yeah, no, I agree. But I believe you and I are gonna be seeing each other in a few weeks.
We are Lizona Palooza, baby.
Lizona Palooza, yeah. So that's gonna be the first weekend in November. So I will be there. My plan, unless something happens, I don't think anything's happened. But I plan on being there the whole weekend.
Yeah,
so,
same here. We get in like late, like Thursday afternoon, like 2:00, I think. We get to town
I'm coming.
Sunday morning.
I'm coming in Wednesday night late. So yeah, and then I'll be around after that. But I'm doing the drive down, so
here's
I'm not
the
gonna
question.
try to drive straight through. Mm-hmm.
So Spare Notes is actually scheduled for that Saturday. Do we do a Spare Notes live from Miami, where you and I are in the same room?
It may be really tough because if it's Lizona Palooza, the Saturday thing, Lizona Palooza is usually at the park.
Oh, that's
so
right.
I think it'll be yeah. So I think it'll be impossible to do it. Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, but we're not doing Primetime's not doing a live show there this year. We're gonna do a pre-show for them the week before. And it's not that we don't want to do the live show. We found the pre-show works a lot better because when the Espinosa staff is hosting Lizona Palooza, they got a lot of things in the air, so they're a little distracted, and they're trying to treat over 100 people. So we actually a couple of years ago switched it to the pre-show, and that's worked out really well.
Yeah, it's almost controlled chaos. I know from being there in the past, this will be my third one, I think, and it's just I remember seeing those guys running around everywhere, and everybody's understanding. I mean, just what they go out of their way to do for all their fans is amazing, and you definitely don't want to stomp on that and take away from anything that those guys are doing.
No, exactly. So, but this is my first Lizona Palooza in 4 years. So I haven't been there since 2019 because 2020 and 21 were canceled.
Yeah, I think 19
and
was my last one as well.
And then the one last year I didn't go to. That was when my dad passed. And that was in the spring. Remember they moved that one to the spring. So.
Yeah, that was the weekend. Like literally, I think it was the weekend after we got back from Camp Camacho. So I know I remember Eric being on Dojo, and he asked Eric Tormson, and he's like, "Well, I thought Kevin was coming," and he's like, "Eric's like, well, those guys are Camp Camacho, and they were just here, so that's why they didn't make it."
Yeah. So so I didn't make. So and remember, I think they moved it to. From the end of they always do it in November, but they moved it from November 2021 to the spring, so they didn't kind of miss one, but they did miss one because now it's been another year and a half. So, the first Lizona Palooza, I don't know if you were at it. That was a March one as well. And
is that the one where everybody hung out in the garage at the Holiday Inn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the one where the parking garage. Yeah,
that was a lot of fun.
Yep, that was a lot of fun with that one. So that was good. And I don't think anyone stays at the Holiday Inn anymore that I know, at least.
No, I mean we stayed pretty much our ground zero there has always been the Hilton at Dolphin Hall, and it's probably not the most affordable, but it's centrally located. Everybody, it's close to it's like we know it. It's comfortable. You can smoke on the patio. They've got pretty good Wi-Fi, so we stay there.
Yeah, and I camp out at the Don Schuler Hotel, which has a lot of areas on the grounds to smoke. So um,
Where's
that
at?
makes it easy. Miami Lakes.
Okay.
So it's literally with no traffic. It's a 10-minute drive.
That's about where we're at. I think we're at maybe 15.
Yeah, with traffic, it could be a 45-minute drive.
And we've
I mean,
we've definitely all experienced. I don't know if Matt has, but we've definitely experienced Miami traffic. It's
yeah, and the Palmetto Expressway, especially. It's also really close to Perdomo, which is nice. It's about a mile from Perdomo when I go there. So I'll probably be going to Perdomo either on Thursday or Friday morning.
I know when we were down there in February, it took us an hour to get from Perdomo to Doral, or Sweetwater, where the Hilton is at. It took us an hour.
Oh yeah,
That's literally
that's...
normally like a 15-minute drive max.
Yeah.
It was the Palmetto Freeway. Well, it's the Florida Turnpike and the Palmetto Expressway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean when the Coop, when we came in, the Coop team converged in Miami for the Great Smoke, and we decided to all meet at Perdomo headquarters, right? So Bear and Nielsen said, "Yeah, we'll take an Uber," but it was like the time of the day they took the Uber. It was almost $100 for those guys from the airport to Miami Lakes. Like I said, that is insane, right? That's like a 15-minute drive max. But that's how with the traffic, that's how it was.
Yeah, it's definitely it can be crazy down there.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I'm sorry. I'm back. Had some things I had to set back in place, but we're good. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Let's talk about what we're smoking. And
hey, Matt, there's a little echo I'm hearing.
From me?
It may be from you.
Is it from me?
Hold on. Let's try that. So let's unplug this headset. Okay.
Let me mute Coop and see if it's me.
Test. We just can't get this show off and running today. This is
test.
This is sad.
Test.
I have no echo. I don't hear any echo.
I think we're good. We're good now.
And I don't know what's going on with my camera feed, but it just won't cooperate with me tonight.
Hey, this is the Spare Notes Shit Show episode.
Oh my god. This is one thing people don't know about me is I get anxiety very easily, and when shit like this happens, it just goes through the roof. All right, I think I'm back now. Coop, how's that? Any better?
That's
no.
Much better.
Okay.
No, that's much better.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, I don't know. You sound a little bit better now.
Okay.
Kevin, give me a little bit more.
What do you need? Do I need to increase input volume or something, or are we good?
No, you're good. You're good. It's better now. It was very like uneven before. It was like up and down, and now it's a little better.
Yeah, it's whatever the settings are for this mic. It's goofy.
Well, to the audience, I apologize.
It sounds better.
We do our best here, but unfortunately, sometimes shit happens. But we have a good show for you, and I think we're off and running now after a stumble out of the gate. First of all, let's talk about what we're smoking, and then we'll talk about what we're using for accessories tonight from our friends at SD Dupont. Coop, I'll let you go first, then Kevin, and then I'll go last.
Yep. Yeah, I actually was just talking about it on our break, but from our friend Luigi, again, thank you to Luigi. He gave me this Alec Bradley Coil Lancero. So big thank you to Luigi. He did not have to send me this. And Matt, I think I've mentioned this before. This is a great Lancero.
You have.
This is a great Lancero. This is what a Lancero should be like. So I'm really, I saved these to fire them up on Spare Notes, and I want to thank Luigi with that.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely.
Barb and I fight over the Coil Lanceros here because it's like you said, it's one of the best Lanceros, that's Barb's favorite size cigar. Period. So it's like when those come in,
this is a great Lancero. This is what, yeah.
Yeah, that falls under the category is what's hers and her, what's hers is hers, and what's mine is hers. So,
Kevin, what do you got?
so I have the HVC, the La Rosa, what is it? The La Rosa 520 Rare of Rare.
Oh, okay, nice.
And this thing is just, I mean, I love Lorenzo, and this cigar is just outstanding. These are ones that
is that the one?
quick.
This is the LT10 one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good cigar.
Yeah, this one was dude, if you slept on this one, you definitely missed out because they sold out quick, literally everywhere. And wow, I'm glad I got some.
Yeah, I got mine from Alan down at Caribbean when I was there. So
I just want to point out that Barbara said that no, we don't. They are mine. So that.
Oh,
debate has been
I'm
settled.
looking at the comment right there. So so if I beg nicely, she'll let me have one. And I am actually lighting. I actually have two wonderful little accessory devices here. I have ST Dupont #1.
Oh, there you go. That's nice.
And it's pretty cool. And it's like ever since Carlito came on and said that this actually is the best representation of a match light, it's like I actually lit it with the flat flame and actually looked at it, which I don't know if you can see the flame in the picture or not, but it's like, you know what, he's right. It's like it's got that wide, long, flat flame, and it works like a match. And then of course this was one of my all-time favorites. This is the Line 2. Space Edition. So you gotta love the ping.
and I'm using the ST DuPont DefiJet, the double flame with the angled flame, double angle flame, which is perfect for just toasting up your Lancero. So just a great grip, great feel in your hand. I love this lighter. It's everything I'd want in a jet lighter.
And I am using the Defi Extreme as well in the Petrol Blue, the matte finish. This is a new color. Same lighter as Coop, just a different finish. And I'm using it to light an Arturo Fuente Destino El Siglo 100 Anniversario, the one that comes in the yellow book box. My band has already fallen off, unfortunately, but it's here, and the tobacco still tastes great, so that's really all that matters. And once again, just another star-studded lineup from our friends at ST Dupont. Be exceptional. So, having said all that, we have a giveaway. We have 3 winners to announce. The winners have been selected, but I'll save that for a little bit later.
Of course, Matt's going to torture these guys right to the end.
Well,
Did I win?
Coop, so when you do your giveaways, do you announce them at the beginning of the Cigar Coop show, like right away, like, okay, this is who won, and then you move on?
We put them on the website.
Right. So,
we don't make people sit through a show on it. You could go to a website and they're there. And what I do now is I do record a video with the drawing. But that's you can go to a website and do it. So you don't have. I'm not gonna make someone sit through a show for 2 hours to do it.
Oh wow.
Bro,
Thanks for
I
the
won't
jab.
because I don't like doing it. Because I don't like doing it. So I'm not gonna do it. So.
Do you want? Fine. All right, fine. Coop.
I'm not criticizing you. I'm just saying that's
don't pull it back. You already threw it out there. You can't take it back. All right, let's do it.
Well, I didn't. Kevin and I didn't get a chance to bust balls on you when we were talking, so now I just figured I would do it.
It's too late now. You already did it. All right.
It's never too late to bust balls on that.
No,
I'm
no.
sorry, but
we'll do it a little later. We'll go about that 2-hour mark.
All right, so we got 3 things to give away from our friends at Drew Estate. We have, we have a Liga 10 ashtray, a Liga 99 H99 ashtray. Both of them are kind of the same, round ceramic. The Liga 10 is black, H99 is red, obviously. And then we have a beautiful Underground 10 humidor. It's the real big blue one.
Those are nice.
We have 3 winners. So for the Liga 10 ashtray, we have Buddy Warren. Congrats to Buddy Warren. You got a Liga 10 ashtray.
But Buddy's won a couple things on Coop lately, so he's doing
he has?
very well.
Wow.
Yes, he has. Yeah. Buddy was one of the QI
Congratulations, buddy.
QI winners. Yeah.
Kid's cleaning up.
No, but I think he won the Revolution cutter, but he won one of the big QI giveaways we did a few weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. A good guy. Yeah. Congrats, buddy.
Congrats. For the Liga 10 ashtray, we have Andrew Ernest. Andrew Ernest.
Congrats.
Congrats, man. Or no, did I say? Sorry. What did I say? Buddy got no. That was for the H99 ashtray. I think. I think I got those messages. What did I just say for Buddy? Sorry. Did I say
Whatever
League of
the
10 or the
first ash-
H99?
So League of 10.
Yeah. So I'm
You
sorry.
said
It's the
League of
League-
10.
I'm
Yep.
sorry. They're identical. He got the H99. Sorry. Andrew Ernest got the H99 ashtray. And then for the humidor, we have Joey Russell. Joey Russell gets the humidor. So those 3 winners, congratulations. Your info will be sent to Drew Estate. I will send you an email after the show or maybe tomorrow, whenever I remember to do it after all of this. And we'll get your information. We'll send it to Drew Estate. They'll ship it to you, and I'll stay on top of it. I'll make sure they get it out and tracking and all that. So congratulations to you guys. That concludes our Drew Estate giveaway for the week. Fantastic. And just also a big shout out to our friends at Drew Estate for making it happen. I appreciate it. All right, so there's our giveaway. It's already done. They don't have to sit through the show.
There you go. There
you go, Coop.
They can thank me now.
Yeah, you could thank Cigar Coop for not making you sit through the whole damn show. You know, he's got your back.
But please, now we did that. Please listen to the whole and watch the whole show. I mean, that's all.
It's true. It's true. You should listen to
Wait.
the show because now Coop's
Now
gonna get his balls
I don't know the other.
busted.
Now I don't know the other 2 guys, but Buddy is a loyal listener of our shows, so I have no doubt he will. But I'm going to think the best of the other 2 guys, even though I don't know them. So
Absolutely, yeah. I know. I know Joey. I mean, sorry. I know Buddy. Sorry, I know Buddy. I've seen him on social media. I know he follows our stuff. So, shout out to him.
So your good buddy Chad to Chad following. He is a good friend, and he's definitely a loyal listener, and we'll hang in till the bitter end.
He also is a winner. He won one of our JC Newman ashtrays in our JC Newman giveaway last month. So he's also a smoked tobacco winner. So shout out to him for being here tonight. He's on the winner's pedestal as well. It's an elite
That's
group.
actually a nice addition to. He actually just built basically a lounge in his backyard. He had an outbuilding.
Yeah.
Done for a lounge, and that's a very nice addition to his new lounge.
Oh, absolutely. Those vintage ashtrays from JC Newman, they're big. They're nice, especially when you get a group going. Yeah,
they're stellar. I mean, what a good looking piece.
Yeah, I agree. I have one somewhere, but I always use. That's the thing. I have so many ashtrays, and it's funny because as a cigar consumer, yeah, you get stuff, but as cigar media, you tend to get a lot more stuff, and that's not me trying to brag about it, but people send us stuff, and these guys can attest to that. And after a while, some of it you give away, some of it you keep, some of it you use, some of it you don't. It just depends on what it is. But after a while, like, you're just like, how many fucking ashtrays do I need? You know what I mean? Like I have a storage container with. I don't even know. I mean, and it's just like they never get used, and I'm like, one of these days I'm just gonna like give them all away.
Same. When I have shoes that are still boxed that have never, we open them to look at them and then put it back in the box.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm the same way. But here's the thing: last year, JC Newman sent out those big black ashtrays, those retro-looking ones, and they sent them out to the media. Now I just raffled it off, right? That's the one ashtray I regretted raffling off because that's a friggin' nice ashtray. That's a friggin' nice. I mean, I'm glad someone got it. Don't get me wrong. I just don't have the room for all this stuff. But I'm like, damn, that's the one I should have just held back. So I kept that one.
I get this big comment from Coop here, and it wasn't really a big comment, but for some reason it made your profile picture really big.
Yeah, I was just asked if someone ever won the big humidor, and yes, after 3 tries, we got a winner for it. I'm gonna say this: there's gonna be some new rules for bigger contests on Coop. I am not chasing down 3 winners ever again. So it was very difficult. Yeah. So I'm going to put some new things in place where I think you're going to have to pre-register for a bigger contest going forward. Because
if you don't claim it, somebody's getting a really nice Christmas bone.
Well, we had one not claimed, and then the second one there was not claimed, but then there was an email issue, And the rule on Coop is I'm not responsible for your email issues. So it went to a third winner. So it happens. But I think I'm going to start going to a pre-registration process for very big prizes like this because I shouldn't have had to go through 3 drawings with this. So
Yeah, that can be challenging.
yeah, yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah, there's some things I can do. I found out with that. So when people enter, there's ways they can do it. So,
Well, first
contests are tough to manage. I'm just gonna tell you, contests are not easy to manage.
they're not. They're not. I mean, you gotta.
They're not.
It's.
I mean, you do it at another level with the Fuente thing, but yeah.
That's not even a
Yeah.
giveaway. That's an event. That is an event.
Yeah, that is yeah.
That is an event.
Yeah.
That
I don't
is
envy
not
you on
easy. That is
Yeah.
not easy. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, let me tell you that is. But we do it.
Yeah.
But we do it. But you know why? We do it because it's worth it in the end. You know, it's a
Yeah.
lot of work, but it's worth it in the end. And you know, it's for such an important cause that it doesn't matter about how challenging it is, because it's that big of a deal. But it is. But that's the thing. Anything worth doing is usually difficult, right? You know, or just very time consuming because
Yeah.
you know you put a
Yeah.
lot into it. But yeah,
Yep.
but I can tell you, I mean, the logistics side of it. I mean, you know, when it's off and running and people are donating, that's the easy part. It's the back end stuff. It's the manufacturers, and it's not like one or two. They're all guilty of it. Every single one of them is guilty of it. You know, they don't get back to you on stuff right away, and then they do, and then you're waiting for stuff, and they're like, "Oh, I thought we sent this out," and it's like, "No, oh, all right, let me
Yeah.
send it." And then the winners. Let me just say this: there are manufacturers, because you already got me going on this now. In regards to our Cigar Family Charitable Foundation raffle, 2024 will be our fourth run, and I haven't banned anybody yet, but depending on how this year goes, there could be some manufacturers banned from participating, and the reason is most of the prizes that get raffled off, I don't have. I let them hold on to it because I'm like, why are you going to send it all to me?
So it's a cost to you too. It's a big
And
cost.
then it's a cost, and it's like if you're already
And a
gonna
logistical
ship it to me, why not hold it and just ship it to the winner, and then we're done, and it's easy for everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like there you go. Some of the stuff I do hold on to, or I do request people send me, especially some of the really high valued stuff, just because I want to make sure that it gets handled properly, or you know, I don't want to take a risk of any issues because there are some of them who I do love them, but trying to get them to send out 40 different prizes on their own, I'd be like, you know what? I'd rather just take control of that and just not have it be an issue because there's a couple of manufacturers that have like one prize, and some of those prizes didn't get shipped out until like August, September. And I feel really horrible for the people who won because, you know, I don't really follow it all the way. You know, like when it ends, you know, I find out all the winners, their information, I pass it along. Okay, great, we'll send it out. Great. And then, you know, and we're talking like 80 prizes I think we had last year. And then there was a handful of prizes that I had no idea never got sent out. And people let me know after several weeks, you know, it's like, oh, all right, cool, let me follow up, I don't know. And I thought, oh, we forgot, I'm sorry, like, blah, 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 blah. It's cool, but, you know, we really want to get these out. I mean, this ended, you know, over a month ago. Oh, no problem. Another month goes by. Hey, I still didn't get my thing. And it's like, all right. And I go back to the manufacturer, and it's like, oh, I swear these were sent out. Let me check and see what happened. Oh, there was a holdup. And it's like, all right. And there was one company that, actually, there was two. There were two companies that all summer till the end. And one of them, I was in the hospital with Anastasia when she was born, and I was dealing with it. And I was like, listen, there's no reason why these prizes should take all summer to ship out. It's just unacceptable. And I feel bad because a lot of the winners don't realize that I don't hold on to the prizes. Most of them come from the manufacturers. So when it happens, it's not really on me. I do the best I can. I give them the information. I tell them where it's going to go. I tell them to ship it out. And it's on them. But what happens is it's my event. It's Smoking Tobacco's event. So it looks bad on us. And then it deters people from wanting to participate and donate and try to win prizes the next year. And I don't like that. So I think everyone's getting a pass. I have to review who some of the worst offenders were, but going forward, anyone who does that, especially anyone who's a repeat offender, you're out. I don't care if you want to give me, a diamond studded whatever, or you want to give me whatever, the craziest thing. You want to give me a car to give away? Not happening. Because you know what? I just don't trust you now. And I'm sorry, but this event is that important to me. It's important to the Newman and Fuente families. It's important to the kids who it benefits. I'm not going to waste my time. If you guys can't get things out on time, you're out. And I'm sorry. And some of those are manufacturers who I know personally very well, but I can't do it. It's not fair to us or to the people who win those prizes. And, the only thing I can do to stick up for those people and, to make it right is people like that, you're out. I'm sorry. You're out. I can't do it. I can't do it. So, that is like the worst part about dealing with it. Sorry, Coop, just to finally
The
circle
good
back.
news for you, Matthew, is that you have some new team members that would actually be very good at bulldogging these guys to make sure that the stuff is sent out. Because that's pretty much like what I do every day.
Oh yeah.
So with Barb and I able to dig in and follow up, we'll make sure that that prizes are sent in a timely manner. They'll just get tired of hearing. They'll just get tired of hearing from us.
Oh yeah. It's horrible.
Yeah, and it's very important, Matt. You made the point you made about like, hey, look, it's a reflection on you in the end, right? Because you're administering the contest or the raffle in this case, and this is a charity fundraiser, and you don't want to put a bad feeling. People are doing this. I believe they're all donating it as the goodness of their heart. But look, if they want a prize, they should get it, right? That they're totally entitled to it.
Of course.
So I totally get that. I mean, we've had problems like when I have a humidor now that didn't get claimed by like I said, there were two that were unclaimed with that big humidor we gave away. The first one, I don't know what happened. The second one, there was an email issue, but again, I expect people, if you're entering a contest of that magnitude, make sure you're reachable, and make sure you're getting in touch with me. There's multiple ways to get in touch with like us if there's a problem besides email. So. All these social media channels we're on, you could definitely find us on there. So, but that what drives me crazy when someone doesn't claim a prize. That's what that now you will if that happens, you will get blacklisted. I mean, email problem I won't blacklist someone, but if you do not claim a prize, you're not getting a prize again on Coop. Big or small, because you've taken time and away from someone else with that.
It's the same thing with people who get blacklisted from coming on the show or get blacklisted from being covered at the trade show. If you disrespect us, in situational based, I mean, if you disrespect us with the way we do the show or the way we book the shows and all that, you're not coming on. If you disrespect us with the way we do our coverage and whatever, you're not coming on the show, and you're probably not getting covered at the trade show. And luckily, that list is extremely short because, I mean, you don't just want to blacklist everybody, but there's a very small select few of people who have disrespected us and me and my team and all of our time that they get put on the blacklist. And it's the same thing with the trade show. I mean, with the fundraiser, it's like, look, we take time. That's not a remember what we do in the media, and Coop can speak to this too. He's been doing this longer than me. This is a business. It's a money-making venture. We get paid money to do this. The fundraiser, we don't get paid to do that. We do that because we want to, because we care about the cause. So we take unpaid time out of our day, months, and do that. So if you're gonna just treat it like with disrespect and just not send stuff out, you're out. Plain and simple. I mean, we're not unprofessional like that. So if you're not going to be professional, you're out. And a shout out to all the manufacturers, most of them, like the Fuentes and the Newmans and Steve Saka and Pete Johnson and all the other people who were really fucking awesome with this, not only the stuff they donated, but the way they handle it, they get it out, they communicate. Thank you. You guys are
most of them are like that too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and most of them are.
You have the couple bad ones.
Yeah.
It's like, I saw Mitch's comment up there. So basically, the comment that we just had from Mitch on the screen translated that, at least I translate that as that if you don't get your prize, that Mitchell is going to send you some authentic Canadian maple syrup.
Yeah, Mitchell said, I will throw snowballs and igloo ice at manufacturers who don't ship stuff and beaver anus. And then he said, you dare make fun of my moose testicle soup and you are blacklisted. Game over. Stone cold lead pipe lock. Fired faster than Kapler.
Oh,
And
there's a lot of anger in that young man right
I
there.
was going to say, our sweet little honest, afraid to bend the rules Mitchell just fired out some shots there. And I don't know what happened.
Let's not pick on Mitchell. He mentioned Gabe Kapler's incompetence, and that's
First of all, two
yeah,
things. Don't
well,
use your
uh,
Gabe Kapler beef as like a defense. And two,
I'm not that.
and two, no one was busting his balls or anything. I'm proud of him for finally showing some
no,
anger.
I'm just saying he used the Gabe Kapler thing in the right way here, and
You're just
good
all
for
excited
him.
because someone hated on Gabe Kapler so you didn't have to.
Absolutely, he sees it. And by the way, I was right. By the way, was I right about this guy or wrong?
All right, here we
I
go.
was right about
All
this
right,
guy.
let's go. Let him do his thing. All right, go ahead.
I
Here's your like a minute and a half
you
on
guys,
the air. There you go.
Great man.
Say what you want to say. Go ahead.
How great
Get
a
it out.
manager is he? He's terrible.
Okay, let him out.
5 or 6 seasons he doesn't make the playoffs. 5 or 6 seasons he doesn't have a winning season. Never won a playoff series, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's horrible. He's
Mm-hmm.
absolutely horrible, this guy. And he got what he deserved last week when he was fired.
Do you feel better now?
Yes.
I thought Coop didn't have a rant tonight.
All right. It's only
I
fair.
didn't bring up
He
it was
fi-
the
he
Smoking
did get
Tobacco
fired.
team that did bring up.
Let Coop blow his load and be like,
Yeah.
thank you. Can we put it to bed now? Fucking Gabe Kapler, he got fired. All right, like
Yeah, he's gone. And as long as he doesn't manage ever again in the major leagues, I'm fine. If he comes back to manage,
Can we switch? Can we
couple
switch
years
gears
ago.
for a second?
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Matt, I've got to.
Go ahead.
I actually want to make a shout out to my dear friend Barry Bob Driscoll, and he is a not a new grandpa, but he actually a new granddaughter just arrived.
Oh shit, man! Congrats, Barry.
Yeah, Parker Elizabeth Driscoll. She's got a picture here. She's a tiny little thing and just as cute as a button. So, Barry, congratulations, buddy.
Congrats, man. Congrats. That's badass. That's badass. That's so. I'm a new dad, and I have a long way to go, hopefully, before I'm a granddad. But I do look forward. To that someday. Hopefully, for a long time.
I remember the day. I remember the day that happened. It's like my granddaughter was born. It's like, wow.
I forgot you are a grandpa.
I'm a grandpa. I technically have 3 grandkids.
So let me ask you a question.
My wife Barb, she has 2 grandchildren. So that along with my granddaughter, we have 3 grandkids.
And Barbara, stay with me on this because I know your Barbara's gonna, she's gonna defend too. But I like to poke jabs about you being an older guy. I know you're not super old. You're not as old as Jose Blanco. I mean, you're not from the Stone Age, but But technically, I mean, you have 3 grandkids. So I mean, how do you argue against that? I mean, you're a grandfather. I mean, that's the pinnacle of getting old. I mean, I'm just trying to prove my point. I'm not big in jabs. I'm just trying to defend my point. I'm just saying.
I'm not taking shots. I'm not taking shots at you, but you're old. So
but you know
what?
If
Barbara
you
kick
didn't,
your ass the next time we see you, and then everything will be good.
if you didn't have grandkids, I'd be like, all right, I shouldn't say that. But I mean, you're a grandpa. I mean, I'm just saying in my defense. Now, if you were a great grandpa, you'd have no skin. You'd be like, yep. No, I mean, I'm old. Like, if you were a great grandpa, I'd be like, you're fucking old, and you just gotta deal with it. There's just nothing you can do at that point. I'm just saying. I'm just putting my line in the sand. Anyway.
Wait a minute. Let's do a volume test here. Right here. Can you hear that?
Yeah. See, but like I said, if you were a great grandfather, you wouldn't even be able to do that. You'd be like, oh no, I'm old. Watch it, Coop. You're not too far behind.
See, now you're poking the bear. I can see Barbara's coming on the screen. You're poking the bear.
Yeah. All right. I have one trick up my sleeve that maybe turns Barbara around. He's not as old as me. Watch it. Well, Barbara, you look a hell of a lot better for your age than Kevin does. So How do you like that?
I will
noise?
not argue that at all.
I don't think I don't think
So-
Kevin was gonna argue that.
You know, you don't show the age as much as Kevin does. That's the difference. So, anyway, we had one thing that we wanted to talk about tonight, and it might be a little bit of a controversy, but you know that's how it goes on this show. We call people out, and credit is going to be given where credit's due. Coop actually brought this to my attention first, and I'm going to let him start it off because this was kind of. I agree with what he's saying, but I think he was more fired up about it than I was, and that has to do with a little brand called Camacho and Sancho Panza.
Well, yeah, actually, Room 101, too.
Ooh,
All right.
Well, it's not a Room 101 cigar.
The issue is a lot more. Well, okay. The issue is. Let me explain the whole issue.
No, your issue's with Matt
So-
and Justin. That's what it is.
It's not with Matt. Well, let me go with it. Let me. Cause I don't know who to blame is on this one.
All right. Well,
so let
go
me
ahead.
kind of. Okay. STG
Where's Shadow One?
about what?
I said,
You
where's
gonna let
Shadow
me
One?
talk? Or you,
Sorry. Go ahead.
okay.
Go ahead.
So-
Sorry.
All right. All right. So we got to go back. We got to go back in the time thing. Is all right. About a year ago, at the trade show, this was right after STG acquired Room 101. They showed off a rebrand of Sancho Panza. And it was at the Room 101 booth. And part of the reason why it was there is because Matt Booth played a key role in the redesigning and the reimaging of that brand. Okay. And I think Matt did a great job, okay, reimaging that brand. Okay. I think he gave it a vibrant new look. I think he kept some of the historic part of the brand, you know, the vibe of the brand. I thought he did a really, really good job. All right. Now, the cigars are another story. I'll just say that. But they're not bad cigars, but they're good value price. So last week, they STG announced yet another limited edition cigar, and the limited edition cigar is a Sancho Panza limited edition. I had all sorts of issues with what I saw when the press release came in. Okay, so let me talk about the first thing is. First of all, it's a $13 cigar, which Sancho Panza is supposed to be a value brand, right? So I don't quite understand that. Second of all, the cigars were packaged like Room 101 cigars. All right. So how are Room 101 cigars packaged? I don't know if we can pull it up on the screen or not. I have it up if we need to, but they're wrapped in paper. Like Matt's Room 101 cigars, that's been his mantra for a long time. He's wrapped them in paper.
Well, it's
All right.
tissue. It's tissue paper with the twist, and then there's like a nice printed that goes over.
Printed thing.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how these were packaged in the box. And that's like a very Room 101-ish type thing. The third thing is when you actually unwrap that, it has that big, bold, horizontal band in the vibe of Camacho. So this is not me hating how it was designed. Okay? What I hate is happening here is that they're Room 101 sizing the Sancho Panza brand. Like, I don't know why you're trying to make Sancho Panza look like Room 101. They did the same thing with Los Stados Deluxe, by the way. I didn't like that they did the paper thing on the Los Stados Deluxe either. In my opinion, you have Room 101. Keep Room 101 the way it is. Don't try to make Sancho Panza into Room 101. And certainly don't try to make Los Stados into Room 101 either. You don't need to do that. The companies that are very successful with branding, okay, over the years have done a good job at brand delineation. Okay, we mentioned Camacho. Camacho doesn't look like the Avo brand. It doesn't look like the Davidoff brand. All those brands look very different. If you go into Altadis's catalog, Altadis certainly doesn't look like Monte Cristo doesn't look like Romeo and Julieta. It doesn't look like H. Upman. You go to Drew Estate. Undercrown doesn't look like Liga Privada. It certainly doesn't look like Acid. Why are we trying to blur the lines? And this is something I've been critical of STG of over the years. They blur the lines of the brands, and I think this was a poor decision to try to do this with Sancho Panza. I think it's creating confusion. I just think it's taking away the identity here. You have then make Sancho Panza a Room 101 brand if that's what you want. But don't in my opinion don't try to just take something from another brand and now apply it to this brand. It doesn't. In my opinion, it's not going to work. That's my 2 cents.
So I have, this is the Sancho Panza in question. Right here. Very similar to... Yeah, go ahead. Actually, I want to pull up the...
Yeah, so you can see it's got... You can't see the tissue paper, but it's got the paper sleeve wrap. That is something that, in my opinion, that's something really that Matt brought to the table at Room 101 about 9 or 10 years ago. With the Namakubis. Okay, that was something we started seeing with the Namakubis. It's got its advantages and disadvantages. Like, I think it's a nice presentation. The problem is you can't see the cigars. But, nonetheless, that is a signature of Room 101, in my opinion. If we saw, I'll pick a company at random. Like, if we saw El Septimo do this, right? We would accuse them of copying off Room 101. Right? We would accuse them of that. Now, I get it that STG owns Room 101. They can do what they want. But I don't see what the purpose of what they did here with that was. And then the Camacho band was just lazy marketing, in my opinion. Like, Camacho, look, Camacho's done those bands. They've cornered the market. That's their deal. You can come up with something else than that. So, this is not blaming Matt Booth or anything. I'd probably blame Justin a little more, but I'm not sure whose fault this one is, but someone had to make a call to do this.
Here is a box of Room 101 Daruma.
I mean, is it almost like a statement, Coop, of, we have Matt Booth, so, just kind of as a just to delve into another one of their lines, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of with you on that. I don't understand the methodology behind mimicking packaging.
I agree. If they would have said that this is a Sancho Panza by Room 101, I can even buy into the packaging more. But they spent all this time redoing, and I think they did, like I said, the original Sancho Panza, the redesign of the core line, I think they did a great job on this. Now they're just like, all right, this was just, in my opinion, this was lazy marketing here. This was lazy marketing to do this. Like, so now are we going to now start seeing all the Ford stuff now have the paper wrap on it? Like they're doing it with Los Stados too. LSD's
They
doing
did.
It, so.
They did. I mean, first of all, I was kind of, the thing I noticed, and let me pull it back up here. The thing I noticed first was that I don't have a picture of the band, like without all this stuff on it. But when you actually see the band, like the way that Sancho Panza logo is on the limited edition, it kind of looks like some of the Camachos. And for me, that was the biggest thing. I mean, I know what you mean about like, for me, it's more about like, well, it looks like the band looks a lot more like Camacho, almost like they were trying to copy, or not copy, but like, you know what I mean? They were trying to steal that essence from like the Camacho design.
They already did it with Tarano.
Yeah, there was a lot of similarity, like the pictures that I saw of that band. There was a lot of similarity in that and the Camacho core line.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I know what you're saying about like making like those two brands look like Room 101 or even, adding in the LSD. Yeah, and I'm with you on that one. They all are under the same house though. So I mean, I'm not surprised, and they can do that because I mean, it's all their own stuff. I think that every brand should be a little bit more self-distinguished,
That's
so
what
I am with you on that. But I think the bigger thing is it's like they tried to copy like the Camacho design in a sense on that Sancho Panza.
And they've done it with Tarano. Remember the Tarano redesign a few years ago had a similar vibe to it. But this one even looked more like. But Matt, this one had the vibe on this one was more like Camacho-esque. Is I don't know. And the ironic is that Camacho broadleaf was released, which had very similar coloring. That was the other thing. Although those are black bands that are on the Room 101. I was, like I said, I just was really surprised, considering they spent some time to really give Sancho Panza an identity. Why did they feel a need to just package those cigars like that and use those bands? Like, they came up with a beautiful Sancho Panza band. You could have tweaked it, maybe embellished it a little more to make it the limited edition band, but you didn't need to go to that. That was just lazy what they did with this period. And then making it a lever doesn't make a lot of sense either. That's the other thing I don't. Sancho Panza is a Honduran brand. Keep the roots of that Honduran brand going. That's the whole thing. Sancho Panza came from Villazon. It's a Honduran brand. And now, we're going to Oliva. Let's get us. It's almost like they found a cigar Oliva. Oh, let's make it a limited edition. Oh, let's just borrow this packaging from Room 101 and let's put it. We'll make a band look like this. And it was like a lazy limited edition marketing. This was.
Well, here's one thing I will say. Oliva has a relationship with Matt because Matt has a few cigars that are made by Oliva.
Right.
Matt did all that packaging, those specific types of designs with Room 101, even before he was with General. Now, General acquires the Room 101 brand. And now Matt's, part of General and is helping them work on their projects, and I think that's great.
I think that's great too, and I think he did a great job. Like I said, that original Sancho Panza redesign was really nice looking.
And I think that Matt brought to the table not only his creativity, which is very valuable, but he has those relationships with other manufacturers that maybe General, felt like could be useful to them, and Matt, to me. It almost makes me feel like Matt is more involved with Sancho Panza than I originally thought. It almost seems like this is kind of his deal because he's got the packaging down. He's making cigars at Oliva with it, and it's like, wow, that's a lot like what he was doing with Room 101 even before. So I think what you're seeing is, and I'm not saying that it's like 100% okay either. I agree. I think that every line should be kind of separate and individual. But what I think I'm realizing and what I'm seeing with this is that it looks like Matt has a little bit more control over this, and it's making this bleeding effect where now all of the cool things he does with Room 101 are now being on other brands. The only part about it I don't like is that it kind of takes away from the feel of Room 101 because now you're using those essences on other brands, even though it's all at General.
I don't think this is Matt's decision, though. I think this decision's coming higher up. That would be my feeling.
And that's true, too.
On that.
That's true, too. I think someone approached Matt and was like, hey, we like what you do. Can you do it with these other brands? And maybe Matt was like, well, that's kind of my thing. But they're like, yeah, but, we write your check now. So... you should do this for us.
What he designed, the design is nice. That paper sleeve is a nice looking sleeve. So I don't have the art's very nice with it. It's just, again, I think someone used the word homogenizing these things.
Yeah.
General
Buddy Warren.
Winner.
Winner.
That's why he's a winner. But
he's a winner.
The problem, I think people sometimes do beat up on STG a little too much. Okay, I think they've done some good products, right? But my problem with STG has always been around brand delineation. They do a terrible job at distinguishing what makes one brand different from another. I think the other big four companies, Altadis, Drew Estate, and Davidoff are so much better at brand delineation than STG is. They're miles ahead of it. Like I said, I don't ever have there's never brand confusion in my book with those other companies. Constantly, I've seen this this approach with STJ.
Yeah, Jay. For those who are listening, STG is, how How do you even say Galactus?
Galactus.
Galactus? STG is Galactus. Sorry, I don't know why it took me a second to word that one out. A devourer of brands. They can't keep their lines separate. Their main competition does an excellent job of keeping lines and blends clearly delineated. Coop is right. And I think that there's some truth to that.
Why not work in the booth with Matt, like the year that his first trade show with General, when they were in the booth with, and they had the Sancho Panza and the Los Stados in the Room 101 booth at the trade show. That was like one of the common comments was it's obvious that Matt did the packaging on these. Because it was just signature Matt Booth. So I don't know if they're just using that to make a statement, across the board that, hey, Matt Booth is with us now, so we're going to start seeing his artistic abilities spread across on the line. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll even go further. I agree with you, Kevin, on that. The coloring on this Sancho Panza release even looks like Johnny Tobacco. It's so confusing. Like,
well, Cameron,
that was the only color.
Cameron said
that was
too.
the only color. Yeah. It's just there was nothing. This just seemed like lazy marketing, is what I went back to. Like, we got a limited edition. We don't want to put a lot of effort into it, so let's do 1, 2, 3. And that's my problem with limited editions in general. Is they're not the people. They're rushed out and stuff like that. So I'm disappointed overall, because as much as I kid Justin and pick on them, I do think STG does some very good things. They do some very good releases. This one, I get it's a limited release. What I'd like to see, tap into Matt Booth like you did, and come up with something a little different now, that maybe something different for these brands. Matt's a creative guy, and I'm sure he can come up with some other things that you could do.
That's true.
I didn't see Cameron's comment on the Johnny Tobacco, and I'm glad someone else said it. Yeah, good job, Cameron.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that their brand should be delineated, but I get it at the same time. I think that they're trying to use the pop that Matt has to bring the vibrance to the other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, but at the same time, you're right. The problem is now you have different brands and they all just bleed together.
They all bleed together. It's like, and I think you're trying to get Sancho Panza off the ground, right? So I have a lot of issues with this. Besides the pack, the $13 price point's the next thing I don't understand, right? Because Sancho Panza is the brand for the everyday, the average Joe smoker, right? And why are you creating it's an under $10 cigar? And one thing that I praised Forge for at the trade show was the amount of cigars they had under $10, right? But you have certain brands that you can sell the higher price cigars to. Why are we dumping it? Room 101 is a more premium brand. Just put it in Room 101. Why are we putting the more premium? Why are we now saying, well, Sancho Panza is now going to be a more premium brand? That makes no sense to me either. You have other brands that can carry that mold. Don't make Sancho Panza into something it's not.
And with no disrespect, I've smoked all of the Sancho Panzas. I've smoked all the Los Dados Deluxes. And I think they are good everyday smokes for the common man who's on a little bit of a budget. But I don't think that they're over $10 cigars.
No, well, that was the position of those lines in the market. They were marketed
that's how they always
as the everyday smoke. The Los Stados, that was like an old, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that like an old JR house brand? Like back in the day?
Yeah. I believe it came from there.
So,
but here, let me put a different spin on it, and kind of maybe a reasoning. So, everybody knows Matt Booth has a cult following. Matt Booth's fans, the Shadow Army, the whole 9 yards, right? So there's some extremely loyal people to Room 101 brand. So now, let's say you bring out these cigars that it's obvious that it was designed by Matt. So now, okay, well, hey, wow, Matt's involved in this, so now Matt's working with, STG and working on this Sancho Panza cigar. So maybe some people, it'll open a market to some people that may never have even gave it a second glance in the first place, all because now Matt Booth might have a hand in it. So I'm just looking at it as a spend. I mean, that's a spend to me that's plausible. To, hey, look at this. Matt Booth designed this. And people are gonna maybe and then try it if you're a Room 101 fan that doesn't really venture too far outside the Room 101 brand.
The other thing I thought of, actually, Sancho Panza is not a Ford's brand. It's actually a General brand. So now that I'm thinking about this, right? Did they try to do this to get like Room 101 style packaging with the General sales team? You know what I'm saying? Like, so someone who's holding a salesperson holding a bag for the General portfolio. Oh, look, we got this thing. Matt Booth designed it, right? And it has the look and feel of Matt Booth. Maybe that's what they were going for with this. Now that after your comment, Kevin, that's what I'm wondering if that's what they did here.
I mean, it's very plausible that that's the reasoning behind it. That's for sure.
Yeah, I still think it's
could
confusing,
steer
but
down that line.
yeah. But your comment actually just triggered that thought with me, that maybe that may be what they're trying to do, to show the other, satisfy the other side of the organization. Interesting.
I could see that. I mean, because really, at General,
I don't like it, but I'm
you
gonna
got
like it.
General
But I'm
and
just
you
saying,
got Forged, and maybe carrying that over. But still, regardless, I mean, it's all under the same house. You know what I mean?
It is, but I mean, to Coop's point, Coop considers it lazy marketing, and I mean, it could be a little bit on a lazy point, but on the flip side of it, if it, draws a whole new line of customers that you've never had before, I mean, maybe it's lazy, but it could also be genius in the same fold. Because I mean, now you're attracting eyeballs and you're attracting interest from somebody that maybe never even gave your brand a second look.
Several retailers in my area have hated this packaging, just so you know. They hate that the cigars are covered. This goes back even to the OSOC days. I know one store that always pulls a couple out to show the customer because you can't see the cigars. So I don't. That's always. But I think the cigars are still sold. That may just be kind of how people are down by me. But I think the cigars. I mean, Matt's had no problem selling OSOCs and Darumas over the years. So he's going to continue to do it. But I've heard some negative feedback. Not that they don't like the design of the packaging. They just don't like the fact the cigars are covered like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, to a degree, I mean,
it's a different kind of eye appeal. I mean, because
yeah,
definitely, when you have the box sitting on the shelf, I mean, obviously they pop, right? But if you pick it up and want to look at it now, it's like, okay, well, you got to buy the cigar before you can actually ever even see it. So, I mean, I can see both sides of that.
Yeah, you don't know what it looks like, I think one thing is people like to see the cigar. They like to see the color of the wrapper. There are people who look at cigars on the shelf and they look at the color and the shade and the shape and all that. And regardless of what it is, there are people out there who buy it based on what it looks like. The tobacco, not the packaging, but the tobacco.
Right.
So when you're perusing the shelf and you're just, looking by at what's on there and you see that, it's just like, oh, look, that cigar's all bundled up. Okay. And then you're looking at all the other cigars around it. So, like, I could get it. I'm not saying I hate the packaging. I think it's cool. I think it pops.
I don't hate it. Yeah.
But
I
see what you're saying.
It looks great. I mean, it's a draw, right? And I mean, I think, a lot of people that would buy those, I mean, people that are familiar with the Room 101 brand that have bought, the Nabakumis and the Johnny Tobacco Nuts and whatnot, that, I mean, they're used to that packaging. They're going to take a look at it and go, ooh, Matt Booth has his hand in this. It's got to be good. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, like I said, now that you said that, and that this is on the General side of the house, I could see maybe. Doesn't mean I like what they did. Don't get me wrong, but I could see that maybe what was going on here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jay brought up an interesting point. He said, to be fair, for a long time, the Gran Reserva line from Fuente was confusing. for many years as
Yeah.
the same bands were used for
He's-
Don
I-
Carlos, Hemingway, Chateau, and Coralines.
He's right. He's right.
That is
100%
true.
right.
That is
Yeah.
true. Same can be
I still
said
get
with
confused. I still have confusion with some of those bands. Yeah.
me too. And I know the Fuente lineup pretty well, but even I'll be like, wait, what are the? I have to like stop and like think. I'm like, all right, hold on.
Yeah.
Same with like Tatuaje. I love Tatuaje,
Mhm.
but and
Tatuaje is not terrible. Like, Tatuaje's got color distinction though.
it does, but sometimes with some of like the brown label stuff, the black label stuff, sometimes they're a little confusing. But I mean,
it has. I think Pete has worked on that though. Putting reserver brands now, putting reserver broad. He has definitely taken some steps to correct that, in my opinion, over in the last few years.
right.
He has. Back in the day, I mean, like I needed the box to figure out what the hell it was that I was smoking.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, to Jay's point, to what I just said, and I'm sure there's plenty of other examples. There are other brands out there that kind of have a little bit of a loose blanket kind of distinction that can cover maybe multiple kinds of things, and that is confusing. And I don't like it because it is confusing. And with the way my mind works is it's all over the place, so it's easier for me to remember stuff when it's very distinctly identified. And when you have a brand that has stuff that uses a band, but it could be, it's like the same band they put on like several different cigars, you get confused and you're like, which one is this again? And you have to like, look for, other wording, or you have to look for a sub band, or like Kevin said, you need a box, or you just have to know based on looking at the tobacco and the vitola of what it is.
Isn't that one of the reasons that Louisiana just updated their bands?
Yeah.
Yeah. Another good example.
I think Luzioni, they took a lot of criticism for that change, but when you see that stuff in person and you see it on the shelf, I totally get what they were doing with it.
100%.
Because it
I mean,
really
there's no question what cigar you're looking at now.
I agree. There's no question. They did a nice job with that, and it just stands out better in the humidor now too.
This cigar's good. Although I've had to relight it a few times. Anyway. Sorry. I mean, it's something that I'd like to see them change. Going back to just the general situation with Sancho, I'd like to see them change. Although I know they probably won't, at least for a long time. But at the same time, I understand a lot of the reasons behind it, but I still don't like it. I think it's kind of my stance on it.
I think the redesign they did on Sancho Panza was a great baseline, and just kind of work within those boundaries. I think you could really go a lot of places with that. I think they did one of the best jobs. That was one of the best rebrandings I've seen in a while.
Well, I was just gonna say, what else is interesting is when McAuliffe introduced the black, earlier this year. I remember looking at the boxes. Barbara's right. Nothing pops in a humidor like Perdomo. That's true.
No argument there.
No question.
They have probably the best packaging in the industry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, the Perdomos know how to market and package their cigars.
Absolutely.
In addition to making them. But what was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought here. Damn it, Barbara. No, I'm just kidding. It's not her fault.
Yeah, that was such a good comment. It's just like I totally lost track of where you were going to.
Yeah, me too.
Fuck, what was I gonna say?
You were talking about McAuliffe Black.
Yes, sorry. When McAuliffe introduced the black,
what was that cigar rated again?
91.
It was rated a 91 by me.
That's right.
Okay, continue. Now I'm
Barbara, don't apologize. You didn't do anything wrong. When I remember looking at the box with the matte finish and the lid, the flat lid, with no clasp, no magnet, just rests. And I remember like, oh wow, this looks a lot like the Room 101 boxes. And Dan Thompson and a few other people had said to me like, oh yeah, we actually took a little bit of inspiration from Matt Booth's box designs when we went into this. I was like, oh, it's interesting. So even like other brands who Matt isn't even associated with, they've taken his influence with their packaging. Now they don't wrap the cigars in tissue in the outer sleeve, but they admitted that they took some design elements from him into their boxing packaging design. So, which is interesting. I mean, so you can't argue with the fact that it's a nice design. It is.
And what works works.
So I can understand why
whatever
people
you
would
got to do
want
to get people's attention.
Yeah, and I can understand why people would want to use it on other cigars because it is cool. But at least the difference with McAuliffe is they took some inspiration and they're an outside brand. With the general situation, it's like, well, you already have that in house with Room 101. Now you're taking it. The thing is, I could see people getting. Not a lot of people, but there's some people I can see, and I think you guys would agree. There's people I can see who are not as well versed in the cigar language as we are, who just go into a cigar shop and get confused because it all looks the same. And even though it's both general and they're different brands, it's like they can get confused. And maybe they'll have a Room 101 and love it, and then go back and they'll see that Sancho Panza and they'll think it's the same thing, and they buy it, and then they're like, oh, this isn't what I wanted. Like, what is this? And so I guess I could see that happening too. And there's nothing more annoying.
Well, that almost goes back to my comment.
Yeah.
Is the reason why. It's like, okay, well, obviously I love this cigar. This looks the same, so it's got to be just as good. So I'm going to try it. Whether you go back to it or not, it's that's a different discussion. But at least you're getting that initial purchase, and you're getting somebody to to want to try it and buy it.
Yeah, I mean, so that's really I would say that's my stance on it. And then as far as it looking like Camacho, I have a theory as to why maybe it looks like Camacho if it was done intentionally, but I don't know if I want to share that.
Well, I do as well, and I think you and I probably share the same viewpoint, and that I think that needs to not be said.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it, but I have a theory if it's true as to why. I think Coop also does, but Coop also doesn't want to say anything, so I'm just gonna leave it at that. But anyway, so that's the Sancho Panza debacle that Coop wanted to talk about this week. Coop, the in the news this week, it was an interesting news week.
It was a boring news week, wasn't it?
It was boring, but it was interesting. We saw.
What was it? Okay.
What were you gonna say? What was interesting?
I'm curious. What was interesting? Yeah, because I ripped it on KMA this morning. This was the worst news week of the year.
It was, but it kind of changing gears a little bit because these stories don't happen very often. I figured I'd shine some light on them. We saw some new stuff from Habanos this week, which that doesn't happen very often. And it's not like it was big new stuff, but it was, we got multiple announcements this week. The biggest one being that Habanos has introduced a new size of the Vigueros Central Gordos. I don't know if you saw that.
Brand Vigueros. Yeah. We had both of those stories on Coop. So I saw both of them. Vigueros was they had a short, thick one that came out there. I saw that. Cool brand Vigueros, by the way.
Well, that's why I bring this up because let's have a little bit.
That was probably the most. You're right. That was probably the most interesting thing this week of cigars. We don't know when we're gonna be able to get them.
So I bring this up for a reason. So let's have a little Cuban discussion tonight, right? For all the people who would love to ask about Cuban cigars, guess what? We'll have a little Cuban cigar discussion tonight. So, as we all know, and I think a lot of the audience, but maybe not everybody knows, Habanos S.A., the Cuban state cigar conglomerate, they raised their prices last year. Yeah, last year. Some a lot more than others. For example, their top two premier brands, Cohiba and Trinidad, saw up to about a 300% increase. So, I mean, you're talking, what is it, like $2,600 US if the conversion is
You're
right.
gonna,
For like
you're gonna be paying a lot of money. Yeah.
for like Cohiba Robustos. You're
Yikes.
like the basic Cohiba Robustos, you're paying over $2,000 for a box of those now. The other brands went up too. They all didn't go up as high as Cohiba and Trinidad. But what I thought was interesting, it's like, oh, this is a new size of Vigueros. Vigueros has always been one of those Cuban brands that seemed to me like it was a background brand, right? It was not like as popular. It wasn't one that when you see people smoking Cubans, you see the same usual suspects. You see Cohiba, you see Trinidad, you see Romeo, you see a good amount of Hoyo de Monterrey, right?
Right.
You don't really see like the Cuban people, like the people who smoke Cuban cigars, I should say. You don't really see them posting or talking about or in public. You see them. You don't really see them smoking Figueros. Not that I think it's a bad brand.
But no, I think it's like someone, for example, you don't see the people in the U.S. smoke Quorum. Again, not a bad brand, not knocking Quorum, right? Or you just don't see that. I think that's how I would equate it to Vigueros.
But given that a lot of the most popular brands from Habanos have increased so much, do we see now the rise of these lower not only you say lower tier, but the less popular brands, like here comes Sancho Panza again, like Sancho Panza Cuba, the real original Sancho Panza, the Juan Lopez, the Vigueros, and those brands? Do we now see a huge surge in the Cuban smoking population with those brands because they're still at a lower price point?
No, I don't think so.
Because people still want the prestige of the higher end bands.
Mhm.
Well, not only that, Habanos' profit margins are going to be higher on those other brands. No matter, they don't have the volume to make the amount of Vigueros that they want to make. Probably that would be like Quorum's a different story in a lot of ways because you could do volume with that. I don't think they can do the volume with Vigueros. So if the resources they have, they'd rather be making those higher end cigars where they have higher profit margins. Because I don't think Vigueros.
Agreed.
It's
Agreed
not a mass
100%.
market brand. Yeah.
But you don't see people maybe trying to buy more of those now just because they're more affordable than buying Cohiba now.
They could, yes, but I don't think there's enough supply of them still.
You're going to run into an availability issue where
You'll still, yeah.
they're more
So I think they'll
affordable,
be tough.
yes,
I see what
but
Matt's
they're
going with
still
that, and I
more
do think, yeah, I think Matt, they'll still be tough to get. The difference is, I don't think Habanos is taking a strategy. Hey, we're going to really ramp up Vigueros. We're going to expand the line. We're going to expand production and sell these things. That's the part I don't necessarily see happening yet. I will tell you, Vigueros was a very easy brand to buy when I was in Cuba. Every store had them, right? Which was because none of the tourists were buying it, I think.
But that's my point. Like, nobody wants to buy it. They want Cohiba and Romeo and Monte Cristo.
Especially if you're visiting the island, that's what you want. Or you want a hand rolled one. But yeah, and the tin packaging is really cool on that. I bought some Vigueros when I was in Cuba. I did because they were easy to get, and they're good cigars. Again, they're not bad cigars. It's a nice little brand.
And, not for nothing, but at the end of the day, I mean, and I said this on Wednesday, but when it comes to Cuban cigars, there are some differences, but there's not many differences among all of the Cubans.
there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Across from
there's
the
only
ultra premiums all the way down. There's a lot of similarities.
There's only so much they can do with what they have. They're not in the situation like the Nicaraguans and the Dominicans and the Hondurans. There's only so much they can do. So a lot of those cigars are very similar. And I have literature that is available out there that's made by Habanos that details like all the sizes and the tobaccos, and I can tell you that a lot of them are the same. So, you're paying X amount of dollars for Trinidad and Cohiba, but you can realistically really buy the same fucking cigar with a different band on it that it doesn't cost the same. And you're really not going to notice much of a difference. And I know that there's a hardcore Cuban people out there who are like, "Oh, that's not true." It's like, well,
I'm not saying I've never been in that camp on that one, because I think there's a lot of other factors that go into it. Vintage and leaf placement play.
That
Yes, maybe they're similar. They're
that's
similar
true.
varietals. Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. That's why I never bought what Dave Garofalo was saying 100% when he did that. When he was talking about that, I think Dave was onto something. I'm not trying to dismiss it, but I still think there were other factors that went into that he wasn't probably seeing.
And again, that's why I said it's not everything.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there is only so. I mean, yes, the things you
Yeah.
made, the leaf placement, the aging, the vintage, that's all true. But again, there's
Yeah.
only. But even with that, there's only so much they can do. There's only so
Yeah.
much they can do. They don't have
Well,
the same like diversity that a lot of other countries have.
I remember going back to the point we were just talking about earlier. When I interviewed Jonathan Drew, we were talking about Drew Estate factory smokes, right? That
Yeah.
they had come out with, and Jonathan was explaining to us that hey, look, there was a market for this for Drew Estate, like to get into, but he was always hesitant to kind of capitalize on that market because if he had to tell his rolling room one day, okay, you're not rolling Liga or Undercrown, you're going to roll these, it affected the profit margins. So Johnson said that they waited for a while until they had capacity to do that. It kind of goes back to the only way I can see, Matt, maybe what you're saying, I'm not dismissing what you're saying, is what if Cuba decides they're going to expand their capacity, which I know it sounds, the Cuban insider will probably tell me I'm crazy, but if they decide to do that, then suddenly Vigueros becomes a very attractive brand. And then maybe you see an increase in the market with that. So maybe that's something to just watch with. That's what I'm saying.
That's
It'll
true.
be
too.
interesting
They
to
do it,
watch
yeah,
those
yeah.
brands on the secondary to see how they are, because if they're more affordable
Yeah,
and more of them are sold, but production isn't increased, all of a sudden now they
Yeah.
become as unobtainable as the higher end brand. So does that drive the price up on the secondary? Which I know a lot in the United States, a lot of the Cubans are bartered in that environment. So
I mean, I just thought it was interesting. I saw that and I'm like, And I'm like, and it just made me start thinking about the brand. And I'm like, well, like when you go on, like the Kai DSI, however the fuck you say those.
okay, to Sai.
Yeah, you never fucking see those, right? You never see those. They don't make a lot of those, and I believe those are
They
at a
go
higher
to
price
Europe.
point.
Yeah, they go to France. A lot of those too.
You still see a lot of Monte Cristos, and while they haven't really fully inflated in their price, they've gone up. But they're still a popular old, Cuban brand. Partagas, you see a lot of Partagas. But you start looking at these other, the original Punch. I feel like it's funny. Punch is a pretty well-known name, but I feel like I never see anyone smoking the Cuban Punches, or really the other ones for that matter.
I see people smoking. Yeah, maybe not on Facebook though, is what I'm saying. But yeah.
I'm not talking just about Facebook though. I mean, just in general. But it's just, I don't know. It's just we don't really talk a lot about the Cuban stuff on the show, and I don't know. It just kind of got me thinking this week. Like there's. I was just looking at it and looking at things and seeing trends and seeing what's popular, and then seeing what they come out with and what they do, and I don't know, just the way things are priced.
Yeah. I mean, I look at Matt, where Punch is, right.
It's different.
I look at how
the Cubans are just so different.
If you look at the Partagas Festival, okay,
Yeah.
and every year at the Partagas, the Cabanos Festival, and every year at the festival they have a showcase brand, and usually it's rotated between Cohiba, Monty, Romeo Julieta, and one other brand, right? But Punch is usually in that next tier, is what I tend. It's not usually one of those feature brands, is what I'll say. It's usually the second tier, is what I'll say, where it's put in with like Trinidad. That fourth brand was Partagas, and is one of the featured brands. But then you have like all these other brands, like Punch, San Cristobal, Juan Lopez. They tend to be a little more secondary bands. Bolivar, I think Bolivar's still a second. I mean, I don't think it's the one that gets with that. But yeah, Punch, I would say, is not in that Partagas, Monte Cristo, Romeo Julieta tier.
And then you got like the
Cohiba.
Jose Piedra, Juan Lopez, the Port Laranja,
Do you know who owns the Jose Pedro
or the Port Laranja.
marker? You know who owns that in the U.S.?
Who?
Padron.
Really?
They own the Jose Piedra trademark, and when the year of the regulations came in, they were shipping Jose Piedras to retailers, and they were basically short filler Padrones they were shipping at the time. So
Really?
they own that one. Yeah, they own that one in the U.S.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
I'm still trying to process that one. Wow,
That's-
I did not know that.
Padron.
Padron owns it. Yeah. Yep. If you do some googling,
I have to look into that a
see,
little more. Yeah.
Actually, there's actually a review on Cigar Authority. I think of that cigar.
But anyway, I
Yep,
brought it
they-
up because I don't know. I just think the whole, and that's the thing. People are always asking me, like, time to time, day to day. They go about my time and whatever, and the cigar conversation. The cigar conversation. People always bring up Cuba, and I'm like, yeah, because we don't really
See-
deal with that. But then you stop and think, and you're like, well. And you start looking at just things that are happening with brand to brand, and you just I don't know.
I didn't get too excited about either of these releases, though, to be honest with you. The Vigueros, I mean, again, it wasn't a size that really excited me.
Yeah.
And then the what was it? A Hoya de Monterey was the other one. That was a dude.
Yes.
So that was one that's duty free that really I only can get in an airport, right? So again, it's not something that I'm like, if I'm if I go to Austria next year, I'm sure I'm going to go to some La Casa de Habanos. I'm not going to be able to get that cigar unless I go into the airport, right? And whether they have it in the airport or not, I don't know. So it wasn't something that got me really excited on anything with that. I mean, at the same time, I understand what they're doing, Habanos. I think it does give you something in the airport. At the same way, if I'm traveling through the airport and they have it, it gives me something different to pick up, so I can get that. Yeah.
Wow, Jay just dropped the hammer on this. Cuba classifies its cigars into two main categories: global brands and portfolio brands. The global category consists of 6 of the country's best-known brands: Cohiba, H. Upmann, Hoya de Monterey, Monte Cristo, Partagas, and Romeo y Julieta. Those brands are sold in every market where Cuban cigars are available, in all La Casa del Habano shops around the world. The other brands differ on price point in markets where they are sold.
Yeah, so those six that he talked about, those are the ones that are always rotated through the Habanos Festival as the featured brand. That's something, I would love to see STG go to a model like that. Like every year they highlight one of their big brands and kind of just formally do it like Habanos does it. I think it's a nice strategy for the festival when they do that you feature these brands on a different night and everything.
Yeah, and Altadis too. I mean, because Altadis in general, the two companies that have the most of those names that they
Altadis
use.
has Altadis is the same thing. Their 4 big ones are Monty, Romeo, H. Upmann, and now Aging Room's the 4th one. And then everything else I'd say is secondary in their portfolio.
Yeah, I'd agree. So I guess they do it a little bit more. But yeah, you're right on general. It'd be nice. I feel like tonight's like the night of general. That's all we've talked about.
Well, they're a big company.
Yeah.
They're a big company. Yeah, so I think they're worth spending a lot of time on sometimes. And they get beat up a lot, but they also do some, there's some very interesting things they do as well. If you want to say something, have you guys smoked Johnny Tobacco this year, by the way?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best cigars that they've done in a while.
I agree.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm actually a big fan of the decent vintage as well.
I have been so okay. So this goes back to the general. I have been so critical of STG the last 2 years that they haven't launched a core brand that has the potential to latch on and be a huge success. Johnny Tobacco was that brand this year that they came out with. And I think this could be an enormously successful brand for them for many, many years to come. So that I think it's some of the best work I think it's one of the best Room 101s. I thought it was better than the original Johnny Tobacco, in my opinion. And Matt thought the same thing when I spoke to him. I thought it was better than the first Johnny Tobacco.
I'm not going to argue that point. I mean, I was actually blown away with it. So, it was
I'll even tell you
a
something.
really good cigar.
So they gave us the Robustos at the show. I'm going to tell you the Toro size is even better. So there's even the Robustos are very good, but that Toro size is even better.
That brings it into the size thing where it has enough time to develop to where you can actually appreciate what's going on in it.
Yes.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. It's like I said, our team was very high on Johnny Tobacco
Well,
coming at it.
Coop, we've kind of talked a little bit about this, and I'm sure you've probably made some comments publicly, but we've been talking about, end of the year's coming, cigar of the year stuff's coming, and we look back at what's kind of come out this year, and I feel like you and I agreed this is going to be a much trickier year to put a list together based on what's come out and how it's scored and all that stuff. So
yeah,
I know it's something we've talked about, and I don't think we've really talked about it on the air. Kevin and I did some predictions as to what we thought could be on the list. And again, I want to clarify, that was just for the list. That wasn't all just what we thought could win, number one.
What list? What list? Your list or someone else's list?
Our list.
Our list.
Our list in-house.
Okay, so you guys looked at
our list.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So I agree with you on all that. So I have kind of just to kind of recap. The trade show is anything that comes out after the trade show is not eligible for my list. But then there's a second gate it has to go through where it has to be reviewed by October 31st, right? And I am now in the final stages of writing the reviews that are done. If you come out, and I'm just telling you that this has been the most challenging. I do a countdown at 30, and I'm just going to say this has been very challenging this year because I don't want to – there has to be a threshold of cigars that make it that are good. And when I start getting into lower score cigars, that's where they can't make a list, in my opinion. And there's been a lot of lower scoring stuff this year. I still have a few more things to smoke, and I have several more reviews to score and write that have been reviewed already. But I can just tell you, it's thin pickings this year, at least for this list.
Yeah, we had the same discussion, I think.
Yeah, we did.
There will be a list. But and the stuff at the top though is really good. The stuff at the top is quality. I'm happy with the way the top 5 are shaping up right now. I have a vision of what the top 5 is going to be, and I think it won't change too much. But yeah, the top I'm happy. But when you get into that second tier of the list, it's like now you're getting into some very average stuff, and it's a problem. When you guys did your predictions,
Go ahead, Coop. Sorry.
When you guys did your predictions, I think I made a comment to Matt. I'm like, none of them. It wasn't that I had a problem with what you guys were saying. It's just the wow factor with a lot of these cigars this year. It wasn't that you guys were doing a bad job or anything. It's like the wow factor is just not there this year. It's like I couldn't come up with another cigar that was better in a lot of those cases that you guys may have had. So that was the problem I had.
Right. I mean,
yeah, that's kind of where we're struggling as well. I mean, as I told Matt, we were talking about the other day. I said this is a year that actually doing a top 10 list is probably a no-brainer. Doing anything outside of like a top 10 is going to be like from 11 to 25 is going to be freaking brutal.
Yeah, I'm having a very similar problem right now. Yeah, so I'm having a very similar problem. There are a couple of cigars there's about 5 or 6 more cigars I need to smoke that I think I don't want to put it, but I have a feeling they could score well, but I've thought that a couple weeks ago, and there's some cigars that I thought would get over 90 that didn't. So
we're in the same boat.
Yep, and then I have a lot of reviews. Like I'm going crazy with review writing right now. This is like October is my second biggest month behind the month before PCA. This is a all review month for me, and I'm just like, I look at my data sheets, and I'm like, I'm not gonna. There's like, and here's the other thing: if something's like, and 90's always been my threshold for the past few years. If it's like 89.4 or let's say 89.6, you're at 89. You're not. I don't round you up, right? So everything's rounded down, the way I've always done it. So there's a lot of stuff that's just has not gotten over that 90 mark this year.
I feel like what we've smoked and what's been reviewed, we've had some good reviews, but we've also had some that were just. Jay, is your name Alan Rubin? Jesus. God, it's like he's not here, but Jay's over here throwing out the.
He was.
It's going to be a little bit.
Look at this comment. It's going to cover the whole screen. Oh
it's
my
like
God.
on the review side for us, it did a little bit tough because I was late to the party and joining the team, and it's like I have not had the time to get the amount of reviews out that I feel that I needed to do and wanted to do. So I mean that's going to add to the dilemma and make it even tougher. But get there.
Well, no, that's not what I meant. I just meant like we've had some good reviews, but I feel like we've also had a lot of reviews that they didn't score well. I mean, McAuliffe Black scored 91. I think your Ferry Ortega review
scored 91?
was a 91, I believe. I'm trying to think what else got.
Yeah, to Coop's point, that 90 threshold has been tough this year. I mean, 90, there's been a lot of cigars that I've smoked that.
Those are the only two over 90 that I can think of that we did.
I think Mitch did one that was a 91 as well.
Did he? I don't remember that.
I think I'd have to actually go back and look. But
I feel like most of them have just been like.
There's been a lot at that night, sub 90 that have been, to Coop's point, it's like there's been a lot of cigars that, there was some high expectations that when you smoke it, it's like, really?
Yeah. The other question I have for you guys is, so is it required to be reviewed?
No.
Okay. See,
not at this point.
Yeah. So I have that rule in with the review, and my issue is why I don't like trying to squeeze stuff in is, I just don't want to squeeze stuff in. At the same time, I'm careful not to let something drop because I couldn't write the review either. So I've been really careful about not overcrowding the schedule either. So yeah, that's the. But mine's a solo list too. So I feel it should. Like 92 is cigar of the year territory for me right now. But 90 is the threshold. I mean, if you're not scoring a 90, and I think one thing we have in common, all of us, is I think we agree that 90 is something special. Mm-hmm. 90 is not a consolation prize, right? So you have to treat it like that. So 89 is not a 90. 89 is not standard of excellence category on Coop. If you're not standard of excellence category, you are not getting on a list. So the question is, do I have enough 90 cigars right now? And I'm going to tell you, I don't, but it's close because there's reviews still to come in the next 3 weeks. So it could still reach it. But I was telling Matt this, I think last week. I said, Matt, I'm like at a point right now, like I don't know what's going to happen. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was thinking of it, and I was like, we're kind of in the same boat. With everything we've talked about, I'm like,
yeah. I'm like, this is unreal. Now, a couple of the guys on like McTavish and Loomis were telling me that they think, because a lot of stuff I'm reviewing is still stuff that was released late last year, that last year was really bad. Last year was like rock bottom. This year they thought there was an upswing a bit more. So, but I haven't gotten to any of that post-PCA stuff yet, so I can't really comment on that. I've smoked a few things post-PCA. It didn't wow me.
I mean, I think from our conversations, over the past, I mean, I don't know. I think our top five is top five will be pretty simple to delineate, but 6 through 10 is going to be tough, and then anything outside of that, I mean, I got to feel we're going to have hours multiple hours long conversation where, everybody's fighting and swearing at each other to get them organized and listed, but we'll get there.
What Jay commented, what I don't understand is why 91 is great and 86 is a cigar that isn't even recommended. That's a tight band.
Because
see, I disagree with that. I mean,
Me too.
86 is still. I mean, 86 is kind of on the lower end, but I mean, I think anything like 88, 89 is an outstanding cigar. 87 still there. 86 is kind of pushing it.
But when you get 86s and you get some higher price points, that's when I'll throw the not recommended label on it, right? So
I mean, there's caveats to that, yes.
You have to take the value into consideration.
Right. So if I gave an 86 to a quorum, that's nothing bad. You could get those quorums for a couple bucks a cigar or factory smoke. There's nothing wrong with that. But if I'm throwing an 86 at like a Freud cigar that's like $30-something or a Davidoff Year of the Rabbit, which I actually did give an 86 to, it's a $55 cigar. I'm not recommending an 86 score cigar for a Year of the Rabbit. I just can't. I just don't have the heart to do that. And then why there's such a small margin is you could talk about why this industry has basically decided that they're going to embrace cigar aficionado, and that's how they've done it pretty much, right? So as a result, we've kind of been pigeonholed into this 100-point system the way it is. Because if you do anything else, then we're deviating from it. The difference is I've been very stingy with scores above 92. I've always been stingy with the higher scores.
I'm stingy above 90.
Yeah, I mean, you get it should be very small percentile when you get them to those like 93 and 94s. It's like those should be exceptional.
And when you look, so Cigar Aficionado, I feel they hand out more over 92. I feel like I see 92s, 93s, 94s. Not like every day, but more often than a lot of other media. When you look at Half Wheel, those guys do a great job. They also, when you look at their scoring system, anytime you see a review that they give that's 92 or above, it's like, that's on the consensus. That's easy.
Yep.
Coop, I would say, is same boat, and that's kind of the feeling that we also have tried to go in, because like to Coop's point, like we're trying to follow that rating system, because at the end of the day, I mean the rating system, trying to keep it universal, keeps kind of the importance of what each score represents. So yeah, we've also kind of followed that model too, because it's like, well, that's how everyone else is kind of holding the standard. It's like I want it to be similar, because I want it to, when people, because what's going to happen? We review a cigar, Coop reviews a cigar, and then someone goes and looks at other publications to see what they gave the score. And I want to try to follow the same level of strictness and the value of each number, so that way across the board, they're close. When you see guys who give out reviews and it's like 94, 95 all the time, that tells me that they don't follow that, and that a 94 and 95 to them could be the same as an 89 to the rest of us.
I've never given that high of a score.
Right, but like I see some people who give out like 93 to 95 all the time, and it's like, well, okay, so what does that mean? Because the rest of us, to go that high, it is cigar. If somebody get like if any one of us, like me, Coop, Charlie, we give out, if a cigar comes out and has a score of like 93, 94, 95, that cigar is cigar of the year right then and there, because there's probably not going to be another cigar that year that scores that high. That's how infrequent those scores come out. If Coop gives out a 94 tomorrow, that's his cigar of the year. I'm telling you right now. If he gives out a 94, that's cigar of the year. I know it.
Let me address Jay's comment on this one, because he's right. I gave the Edge 20th anniversary an 86 score, but I said it was not recommended. Now it's a price point of only $12. So if you read, this is where you have to read the review, because I did discuss this. That cigar started out really good and got some points early on, but it nosedived so bad, right, that I could not possibly recommend it, like, because the nosediving went down so hard. But I can't take away the points it got early on, right? So that's how that one kind of worked out sometimes. But Jay's right. That's a good example of like, how did an 86 get a not recommended? Because it nosedived. Like if that cigar was bad all the way through, it probably would have had an 81 or something like that. It was
On performance, I mean, for me, performance is huge. I mean, I've had some cigars that have the flavors and everything are just outstanding, but the burn, the draw, whatever, it just sucks. It comes unraveled. It
yeah
doesn't
yeah
burn. It doesn't draw. It doesn't do whatever, and it's just no matter what. And then if that handles through multiple samples, I mean, it could be one of the best blends on the planet, but if it doesn't burn, it's not going to score.
How about the scenario, Kevin, where the cigar has great construction, it burns great, but the flavor just stinks, right?
And which is probably more so the case than the phenomenal blended
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
burn.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd
The
agree.
one that performs like a champ. That's still a dog,
That's
right?
where flavor. So this is where I argue with certain reviewers, right? Because I'll say flavor has to be paramount, right? And if you don't like the flavor of a cigar, like how can you possibly recommend it to someone? And then you as the reviewer, people are looking to you because they want your opinion on the cigar. So flavor has to be a big component to that. So there's no way I could give a cigar a great score because of construction. And I've seen some reviews out there that do that. And I'm like, you can't do that. You have to take flavor, and it's got to be the most important component.
Yeah. And it just, I mean, just like you guys, I'm friends with a ton of people in the industry, and one thing that I've prided myself on, ever since day one for me as a reviewer is I am not band or brand influenced. That's like I don't care, who makes it. If it's a great cigar, it's a great cigar. If it's not a good cigar, it's not a good cigar, and I don't care who made it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. I have found with reviews and like especially this last year because I put in a section on packaging, my opinion on the packaging. The most sensitive area people are is on the packaging. Like I can get away with giving an 86 score, but if I bash the packaging, I get the phone call almost all the time, and that's always because the people who are calling me are the people who are the packaging stuff tends to happen more in this on this end of the things. They can always blame the factory for a bad cigar, right? But if it's if the stakeholder who call me who are actually doing the packaging, they take that a lot more sensitive. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's a huge component of the brand. I mean,
Yeah,
it's massive because I mean, a lot of times the packaging costs as much as the cigar.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think kind of circling back. Yeah, the value. The value is a huge part of it too. I mean, every aspect of a review is important, from the flavor to the construction, the burn, the complexity. But I feel like the value is like the part when people read reviews. I don't know. It's like they don't get it, or they overlook it, or they don't. It's just like people go like, well, I mean, but if it burned really good, like, and the flavor wasn't bad, like, it's like, well, when you're paying, like to Coop's point earlier about the rabbit, right? When you're paying $55 for a cigar and it scores an 86, I mean that's a problem. For $55, that thing better tickle you really good.
100%. I mean, if you have a $55 cigar, I mean that thing better be so good that when I go out for an evening with friends and to a high end cigar lounge, I mean, if it's a $55 cigar, that's going to be the one. It needs to be good enough that that's going to be the one that I'm going to go grab when I go in the humidor. If it's not, it's going to be scored accordingly.
Yeah, and if I gave the system where I call the consolation price scoring where, oh, I don't want to hurt the brand, I'm going to give it a 90. And then I'm out, Kevin, with your friends, right? And, you don't order that cigar. Like, well, you gave it a 90, right? And then you're saying, well, don't really order that. Then, well, why did you give it a 90? 90 is not a good score. Is kind of what I'm getting at. So yeah, you have to be it's real important when we give these scores. You got to be able to back it up when you're in public with this stuff too. I remember there was a prominent reviewer who talked to me about Padron Damaso, and he did not like this cigar, right? And he was just telling me this is the worst Padron I ever had, blah blah blah. And then I saw the review at a 90, and I'm like, what the? I mean, really? I mean, you just told me how bad this cigar is, and you gave it a 90. It doesn't make any sense to me. Luke's point is right on. A $55 cigar better have wow factor. It better kick your ass. The construction better be perfect on that thing too. Things like that. Otherwise, I'm gonna very much ding the recommend. Like, it could get a good score, right? If the construction's not perfect, but if I had to say the drawer was tough on a couple of those, I may not still recommend that cigar, even though it has a 90 score in that case.
And Kevin,
So
does price affect any of your scores? 100%.
see, mine
100%
doesn't.
it affects
Mine doesn't.
affects
Mine
the
doesn't.
score.
Mine doesn't.
For me, it does because it's a value thing.
Yeah,
I use that
exactly.
value rating. I use the value rating of not recommended, try a sample, buy one. That's kind of how I use it. But so the score, the factor isn't in it, but whether I recommend it is.
See, for me, it affects the score.
So here's the scenario I'll put out there. If you have two 91-point cigars, right? The problem I have is 191. Like if one's $40 and one's $4, right? Which one is the better value? It's the $4 one, but both
Right.
still on merit got a 91. So that's kind of how I distinguish. But I see where you're going. What you're saying. So how much?
I look at it as the $12 91 cigar and the $40 91 cigar. They're both a 91. You go to a humidor, you want to have a 91 experience with a cigar. Do you want to spend $40 or do you want to spend 12 and have a similar experience? So
let me ask you a question. If you had the McAuliffe Black, which we know got a 91, right? If that cigar was a $20 cigar, okay, would that score have been lower?
maybe a point.
Okay, so you have some sort of a variance factor in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
It affects it a small percentage, but it affects it.
So it would affect that score, as I'm saying.
It would affect the score slightly, yes.
Right.
I think the other thing too is in regards
And
to
also on the flip side of it, it helps the cigar. So when you have a cigar that that's in that weight class, score wise, if it's on the lower end of the spectrum price wise, that actually helps it get there.
Alan, nobody gets 100, so just let that one go. Yeah, you're definitely biased. I'll give you that. It's funny. Jay commented here. I smoked a Cohiba Talisman. Sells well over €300. Incredible burn and draw. Flavor was flat. Worse than a $5 cigar. Just a tough experience.
I've had a similar experience where I've had some of these ultra expensive cigars that it's like I smoked it and it's like, wow, it's like I'd have been pissed if I would have paid $10 for this, and this thing is how much?
Coop,
Yeah.
I think the other thing that played into that McAuliffe Black review too was, the fact that it performed that well, and the quality of the tobacco, the quality of the cigar itself, the way it was rolled, the way it was made, and the way it performed, the flavors that it had, all those things, for only $8. I mean, when you compare it to a lot of cigars in its, similar class across the market, for and a lot of them are more than that. For $8, I mean, you're getting a cigar that's outperforming a lot of cigars that are, much more expensive. That, like Kevin said, it's not like a huge factor, but it's something you have to take into consideration. I mean, you give a cigar like that for $8.
So I don't.
and I've
So I
gotten
don't.
some-
I don't. I don't agree. So I don't agree with that. But I see where Kevin's going. I think a scar should be the numeric score should be totally on merit. But I think there's other. Like I said, I use a different factor for that. I think you guys are factoring in a little. You have like a variance factor, is what I see with yours. I have a value rating that's separate.
Well, I think it's important to take into I mean, 'cause at the end of the day, people are walking into stores with the money that, they busted their ass all week to get, and now they have some money to spend on cigars, and it's like, not everyone gets free cigars. Not everyone gets, access to whatever they want. Most people go into a cigar store and they have to buy what's available and what they can afford. So if they're reading reviews from any of us and they see a cigar, I mean, they gotta, if they're gonna like spend the extra money on something, I mean, they're gonna want to know that they're gonna spend extra money that they probably wouldn't have spent, but like the cigar is gonna be good. It's gonna perform well. It's gonna have a lot of flavor. It's gonna be good. Nobody wants to go into a store and pay like more than they're probably comfortable spending on a cigar, and the review was like, yeah, I mean, it was all right. It's like, well, do I really want to waste like $20 on a cigar that was all right, or it was pretty good, but like people want to like if a guy normally spends between $8 and $10 on a cigar, if he's gonna go in there and spend 20 or more, I mean, he's gonna want to know that that cigar was really good because it'll make him feel better about spending that money that he probably wouldn't normally spend on a cigar.
I mean, there's some people they go out and they buy them. It's like if a brand is associated with luxury and it's a wedding reception or you know like a job promotion celebration or something like that. I mean, people are just they're gonna buy a certain brand just because that's associated with luxury.
I didn't
I mean,
know.
that's the general like a good portion of the cigar smoking population is like the likey no likey or just the ones that are that are brand aware, that are brand driven. I mean, they're going to buy that no matter what, and the score is going to be irrelevant.
I didn't know that.
Aficionados.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that Oreo or Nabisco rather started making cigars.
Oreo.
What's an Oreo Blanco? Sounds like Alan's over there smoking candy.
Yeah, Luke. I mean, exactly, Luke, because it's a specialty cigar. I mean, that was basically the point I was just trying to make. You buy that ultra premium brand, and it's going to be good, and that's where those fit. I mean, the aficionados are going to look at the scores and whatnot. And I mean, I've caught some shit for scoring, an $8 cigar in 91. It's like, how do you score an $8 cigar in 91? It's like, because it's a freaking 91.
It earned it.
If I take the band off of it and give it to you and give you another cigar with the band off of it that scored 91, you're going to like it just as much. It's.
Look, I mean, there's $8 cigars that score 91. There's $8 cigars that score 91, and there's $100 cigars that score, 83.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say like that argument isn't valid. How can you give an $8 cigar at 91? Well, how do you give a cigar that's,
I mean, that being said, there's not many $8 cigars that are going to score 91.
Right.
But
it's true.
It's just they're just not. That's just not the range. That's just not the way those cigars are blended. So I mean, that's when. That particular case, you have something special.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to reviews, I mean, at least here at Smoking Tobacco, we try to take all the aspects into consideration, just because we feel like at the end of the day, we want to give and Coop, and you do it different. That's fine. I'm not picking on you for that. That's fine.
Yeah, I think
that's just what we came up with. But when we were coming up with our criteria and like our format and all that, it was like, well, we want to give the average consumer who reads the review and uses that to make a decision on purchasing a cigar with their money, like all of the information that we can. Like, hey, like it's this much, blah 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 blah, and at the end of the day, I mean the only argument I can make on that is just at the end of the day, people have a set amount of money they can spend on stuff like this, and they want to spend it and know that they're getting something good and that the value's right, and maybe someone will spring a little extra money that they normally spent because hey, like cigar's getting a lot of good reviews, I'm going to take a chance on it. If a cigar that's a little outside their price range, it's not really getting good reviews, or got a review on a publication that they regularly follow, they're going to be like, I don't know though, they rated it a little low, I'm a little hesitant now, so, which is...
there's a good... I mean, I think the vast majority, it's not going to matter, but it's like the core aficionados, it's a big deal.
I agree. So, anyway, that's all. I mean, we just try to present the most information that we can, because at the end of the day, people use reviews and Cigar of the Year. I mean, how many times has, something got Cigar of the Year and then everyone goes out and buys it? I mean... So
like every time.
So exactly my point. So it's like, it does have influence on the way people buy, how much they buy, what they spend. Because people read it, it gets in their mind, and they're like, didn't score well, I don't know, and they're hesitant.
And I'm sure I'm not alone in the thought too. It's like, some of the publications out there that when do they score something Cigar of the Year and you go get it and smoke it, and it's like, wow, how did this get a Cigar of the Year?
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there too. I've been
Yeah,
there
it's
too.
like, wow, really? This is cigar of the year? Yeah, maybe not.
You know, it's funny. And every year when all the lists come out, I go and I buy like whatever everyone gives number one, and I go and I buy them all and I smoke them all just to be like, let's see, was this a cigar of the year? And
Matt does his own consensus list.
and yeah, 100%,
I
because
think I do the same thing. I think we all do.
especially being in my position, because I'm like, all right, well, let's see what other people are doing and let's see what they thought was great, and then I like to smoke it and see if I agree. And I'll be honest with you, it's like 50-50. Half the time I'm like, all right, yeah, that was good. That was good. And the other times I'm like, what are those guys doing over there? The cigar is all right, but not cigar of the year. And I'm sure someone could do the same for us. But at the end of the day, my point is it's all subjective.
And
And
none of us are wrong. So
yeah, so, you know, to each their own, really. That's all I have
Right.
to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think one thing I might just say to you guys is I mean, you may have it, and I just didn't see it. Is I would have that disclosed that you're factoring price into it.
Is that what you were just doing over there? Were you combing the website for our criteria?
No, I was just looking at a Coop thing is what I was
Oh.
looking at. But that's one thing
that's
I might
actually an interesting point. I mean, I don't know, Matt, if we actually ever made public what our criteria is.
I thought we did, but I could be wrong, and if we haven't, then we will. Especially when the new website goes live.
Yeah, that's going
we
to
have
say
a lot
with
of
the
stuff.
new website. That would be a good thing to have out there. It's like this is how our cigars are scored. I'm not going to break down like percentages as to how much it affects X, but it would be nice for people to know that this is where the influences are.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah, I was just looking up a few case studies. Like I said, but yeah, and because the point is, I think in the end, you could do it however you want, right? My point would be is because this is where I would just say, and maybe like you already just said this. So if I had a $4 cigar, right, that scored a 90, right, I just wouldn't want to create confusion in someone's mind that that's going to perform the same as a $14 cigar that's scoring a 90. Does that make sense?
But it did because it scored a 90.
But people in their mind, a lot of people in their mind don't think price factors into a score. That's the only what I'm pointing at. They in their mind they think it may be that $4 cigar is going to smoke.
Okay, I get your point. Yeah, it may
that would be the
it may not perform quite the same, but
right.
Because it's a $4 cigar, it got a little bit of help because it's
right.
a $4 cigar. You're right.
Yep, that would be kind of where I was going with that. Yeah.
Interesting.
I see
where you're going. I see where you're going with it. I see, and I know like the thought process you're on. I guess for me, it kind of boils down to like, well, but I mean, if it performs, it performs, and at that point,
and you're going to have a similar experience for $10 less.
Now, am I saying that the McAuliffe Black is the same as like a Davidoff of similar caliber? I mean, I know that the Davidoff, being at a higher price point, has a higher quality of tobaccos and quality control in that factory.
Right.
I know where you're getting at with that, but I think if a cigar performs and it tastes and it has the right combustion, the complexity, and all of that, I mean, if it earns the score, it earns the score. I mean, and just because it's not made at a prestigious factory like Davidoff with grade A tobacco,
I totally see.
Like if you really want to dissect it down, like I know where you're going with it, but.
So let me ask this next question to you guys. And again, this is not meant to throw flame or criticize. I'm just curious.
Wow, Coop's got a lot of tricks in his bag tonight.
You're doing your list, and you have two cigars that are at 90 points, or 90. Let's say 91. Let's say 91 points. One is a $5 cigar and one is a $15 cigar. Which ranks higher on the list?
That's a good question.
For me, if the cigars haven't been both reviewed, to use the reviews to compare all of the details very finely, we would revisit those cigars as a team, blindly,
Right. I think
blindly, and pick the
that's where,
consensus as to which one was performing better.
that is the answer I like, actually. Yeah, because I think that you could do like best value list is what I'm saying. But yeah, in that case, I would agree. Now I have a criteria I've been criticized about, and I look at distribution of the cigar. In certain cases, if the cigar is less widely available, I'm less likely to break the tie in that case. It will usually go to the one that's more widely distributed.
I can see that too.
I would agree with that one 100%.
Especially if it's like
it's
really limited production
hard to
against
do
a core line.
Right.
It's hard to do a tiebreaker for something that you're never going to be able to find in the wild.
Core line would win every time.
It should, yeah. Now, I was guilty of years ago making one of these lists where I'm going to find the diamonds in the rough, and then I got criticized because no one could find these cigars, and I kind of understood it, right? And then when I had the epiphany and realized that limited editions don't, really have the staying power, and you want your like last year my cigar was a limited cigar of the year, but it was from a annual release of something. And there's a couple limiteds in contention this year. I mean that My Father I Love is a limited cigar, and I am wrestling with that one right now a bit.
It's limited, but it's not. I mean, still.
Here's the thing.
Uber limited.
Here's the thing with us, store exclusives are out.
Totally should be out.
Anything private label
cigar media
doesn't count because it's private label.
Yeah.
Right. And if it's an extremely limited run, like for example, like the Prometheus Heaven and Earth stuff, like Purple Rain, that's out too because it's even though it goes out, it's just not enough.
Oro Blanco was out when I reviewed Oro Blanco, and I made that decision too. It was too limited. Same with Unicorn was the other one.
Because nobody wants to be like. I mean, like when a company does like, hey, we're doing a limited run 1,000 boxes.
Yeah,
that's fine. There's enough boxes that go out that people can find them. But when you have something we only did like 250 boxes, and by the way, most stores are going to sell it for 3 times its MSRP.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing it.
No, there's such. And my feelings on these store exclusives. There is such a small percentage of these store exclusives that people are even hunting down. I mean, it is a microcosm. Like, so you go and put it on the list, people are going to scratch their head. Like 10 years ago was a little different. Like when Tatuai Anarchies were floating around 10 years ago, people were chasing that stuff down a lot more. But it's changed right now because there's so much widely distributed stuff that. I don't, like I said, event cigars won't make my list, and
event cigars too.
TAA cigars have been eliminated as well.
TAA cigars were previously allowed on our list, but going forward, they are not eligible.
Yeah. I mean,
we have removed.
Plus,
I've made.
It's too, in my opinion, it's still too limited in that case. Regional releases are not eligible.
Not even that, but anything TAA related is just not worth wasting my time.
I've made a major reduction in TAA coverage this year.
If I get a story like about a release or whatever, like I'll put it out just because like it's there. But like I'm not gonna waste my time. Doing reviews on it, putting it on a list.
There's no.
It's not worth it.
We saw such a when I looked at the numbers and how low people were even it was the numbers were almost as bad as store exclusives were horrendously poor. Like I would if I had a wish for cigar media, we should all stop covering that stuff. Okay, I think everyone will grow their brands better if they ignore the store exclusive stuff. If you want to smoke it, fine, talk about it on a show, that's fine. But in terms of spending cycles, I'm just saying these are things that should be served through advertising programs if companies want to promote that stuff. If they really want to promote a brand and to take out an ad on our sites, I think we could serve you better with that. I honestly do. And I don't think an ad's for everybody either. So I'm not trying to sell it. But, if you're trying to grow a brand, I can maybe see it. But if you write a review and think you're going to get publicity for it, you're not. It's going to get buried in the web sphere, in the what do you call it? The blogosphere or whatever you want to call it. It's just not going to be the answer to that because there's not a lot of people seeking that stuff down, is what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I'll say about TAA, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, that I wanted to add in there, was the other thing about it too is, in my personal opinion, there's only like 3 manufacturers that consistently make good TAA releases every year. So it's kind of like, well, why am I going to waste my time anyway?
But to be honest with you, none of them really.
And that's all I'm going to
Pizza's
say.
going to sell itself.
I'm not going to
Pizza's
mention
sell
any of
itself.
the names.
I'll tell you what the 3 I think are. And you know, but I'm not bad. It's Crown Heads, Tatuaje, and LaFleur. And they've had staying power a long time with this, because they've been doing them every year. That's why they have the staying power. And they kind of put a lot of effort into those. So those are why they're successful.
I mean, to Matt's point, there's definitely been some TAA stuff come out that is not good.
Is there anyone in the comments like really upset that we don't want to cover TAA cigars anymore? It's like anyone like, wow. Where's all the comments? Like where's all the like isn't this like blasphemy we're committing? Like we're not covering. And I'm covering less TAA stuff than you, Matt, but I'm covering less than you now, Matt, on this. And it's certainly your choice. I'm not criticizing you on that, but that's my point. Like, no one has I got some criticism on other things. Like, when Luigi was giving me some of the feedback, he was criticizing me for not going to maybe some booths. And, I can understand that to some thing. Here's a guy who's saying, I care about these certain brands. But these types of releases, I'm just telling you, very few people are going to be losing sleep that we're not covering the Sancho Panza TAA cigar.
It's a small core audience, I think, that goes after those.
Yeah, Kevin, I want to say the number. I have the numbers were like 2 to 1% of my traffic last year. I mean, and Shop Exclusive was almost less than 1%. I mean, that's how small of a. But somehow what's happened is, you send out a press release on this stuff, and suddenly people think it's a big deal. And I'm just saying, in reality, the numbers don't add up. Like to spend time on this stuff. And like you guys, for example, I'm sure you have a lot of great cigars in the queue, like that you haven't reviewed yet, that I'm sure you want to get to, right? That are regular production or national limited release stuff. I mean, so what happens is you spend time on that, it just hurts your bottom line.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for someone to like scream that they want more TAA coverage here. So you got me started on the TAA tonight, Matt. Look at that.
I know. It was not the intention. We just kind of drifted that way, and we
got another Coop rant.
I know, it's a Coop rant. Wouldn't be a night without a Coop rant. About 2. Look at that. We got 2 out of them. I think
he even got Kapler in tonight.
Yeah, I got Kapler.
It's because Mitchell stroked his back on that one. Like, ooh, yay, they fired Kapler. Coop, look at me.
There's a, what do you call it?
Look, now he's trying to find something else to bitch about.
No. I was just saying, Luke gave us a scoring update here. Arizona is destroying the Dodgers 10-0. Just the update. Thanks, Luke, for the update on that.
Wow, really? Oh yeah, there it is. Arizona 10-0, top of the 7th.
Not to go back on the baseball talk route, I did not want to face Arizona in the wild card. So I was like relieved that we had Miami over Arizona. Arizona scares me a lot. They just have a lot of these no-name guys who are playing way over their heads right now. So
that's usually a sign of a team that's like a dark horse team that comes out. All of a sudden,
kind of how we were last year. We were that team last year.
They get hot at the right time, and they just ride it.
Yeah.
And it's easy. When you get hot going into the playoffs, it's easy to keep that momentum because you get that, like, oh, shit, we're in the playoffs. And, like, we just won a round. It's like, oh, my God. Like, we didn't think we were going to be here. And then you just keep that going. When you get hot in July, it's like, this is great. We're doing good. Hopefully we win the division.
Yeah.
But when you get hot in the ALDS, it's like, oh shit, all right.
Yeah, you step up at the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
yeah.
that mental motivation just really gets you because you're like, oh shit, all we gotta do is win a couple more games, win the next round. Like, oh damn.
Yeah.
And oh yeah. Anyway, but we guys, we are getting towards the end of the show. I'm gonna wrap this
Yep,
up
we are.
soon.
I agree. Yep.
I just want to say thank you to you guys for both being here as usual. Thank you to everyone who has been listening and watching. And also don't forget to like and subscribe on all of our platforms, everywhere you can get your podcast, on our YouTube channel. And as always, visit smokingtobacco.com for more news, reviews, and other information from the cigar industry. Congratulations to our 3 winners from our Drew Estate giveaway. You guys will be contacted soon. And with that, I wish you good night, and we'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.